The Ben 10 universe has always been a treasure trove of alien adventures. But what happens when the very device that gives our hero his powers starts malfunctioning? Today, we're diving into a story that explores the origins of the Omnitrix and introduces a dangerous new element that could change everything we know about Ben's iconic device. It all begins on what seems like an ordinary evening in Bellwood. Ben Tennyson is lounging on his couch, flipping through channels with a bored expression. The summer heat has made crime fighting particularly exhausting lately, and he's enjoying a rare moment of peace. Gwen and Kevin are expected to arrive soon for their weekly patrol, but for now, Ben is content with doing absolutely nothing. That's when it happens. The Omnitrix on his wrist suddenly flashes with an unfamiliar pattern. Not the usual red warning of a timeout or the yellow alert of an incoming transmission from Azimuth. This is different. The device emits a pulsing green glow that Ben has never seen before, accompanied by a strange harmonic frequency that makes the hairs on his arm stand up. "What now?" Ben mutters, tapping the faceplate. The Omnitrix responds with more erratic flashing. By the time Gwen and Kevin arrive, Ben is genuinely concerned. The Omnitrix has been through countless battles and modifications, but this behavior is unprecedented. Gwen, always the analytical one, suggests using her mana-tracking abilities to trace the signal. She closes her eyes, her hands glowing with pink energy as she establishes a connection with the Omnitrix's unusual frequency. After a moment of concentration, her eyes snap open. "I've got something," she says, her voice tinged with surprise. "It's coming from the Black Ridge Mountains, about 50 miles north. There's some kind of facility there, and whatever's inside is resonating with the Omnitrix." Kevin raises an eyebrow. "Black Ridge? That's where that old plumber outpost used to be. It was abandoned years ago after some experiment went wrong." "Not just a plumber outpost," Gwen corrects him, scrolling through data on her laptop. "According to the archives, it was a joint research facility between human scientists and alien technologists. They were studying extraterrestrial DNA manipulation before the project was suddenly shut down. All records after that are classified." Ben looks down at the Omnitrix, which continues its strange pulsing. "Well, whatever's calling to this thing, it can't be good if it's making the most powerful device in the universe go haywire." The trio wastes no time. Kevin's car, enhanced with alien tech, makes short work of the journey to the mountains. As they ascend the winding roads, the Omnitrix's pulsing intensifies. The facility comes into view, a partially collapsed structure built into the mountainside. Its architecture a blend of Earth materials and alien design elements. Vegetation has reclaimed much of the exterior, but there's something unnatural about the place. The air around it seems to shimmer slightly, as if reality itself is distorted. "I don't like this," Kevin says as they approach the main entrance. "Place gives me the creeps." "The signal's definitely coming from inside," Gwen confirms, her hands glowing as she scans the area. "But there's something else too, some kind of energy signature I've never felt before." Ben steps forward, examining the sealed entrance. Only one way to find out what's going on. It's hero time. He activates the Omnitrix, cycling through his alien roster before selecting XLR-8, the speedy Kinecalaran that could help them quickly scout the facility. But when he slams down the core, something goes terribly wrong. The familiar green flash envelops him, but the transformation process feels different, painful almost. When the light fades, Ben isn't XLR-8 at all. He's some kind of bizarre hybrid. His body structure resembles Heat Blast, but with crystalline diamond head features protruding from his molten form. The conflicting alien physiologies cause him visible discomfort. "What the?" Ben's voice is a strange mixture of Heat Blast's crackling tone and Diamond Head's resonant pitch. I'm some kind of Heatmond, Diamond Blast. Whatever you are, it's not right, Gwen says, concern evident in her voice. The Omnitrix has glitched before, but never like this. Kevin touches the facility's door, absorbing its metallic composition. Let's worry about your identity crisis after we figure out what's causing it. With enhanced strength, he forces the door open, revealing a darkened corridor beyond. The interior of the facility is in even worse condition than the outside. Collapsed support beams, shattered equipment, and signs of some kind of struggle are everywhere. Emergency lights provide minimal illumination, casting eerie shadows across the rooms. As they venture deeper, Ben's hybrid form begins to destabilize further, with the heat and crystal elements fighting for dominance. I can't maintain this form much longer, Ben groans as a crystal shard painfully emerges from his shoulder. Something in here is really messing with the Omnitrix. They reach what appears to be a central laboratory. Despite the destruction throughout the rest of the facility, this room seems relatively intact. In the center stands a pedestal, and hovering above it is a glowing green crystal about the size of a softball. It pulses with the exact same frequency as the Omnitrix. That's it, Gwen whispers. That's what's calling to the Omnitrix. Before they can investigate further, a massive explosion rocks the facility. The wall behind them disintegrates, and through the dust and debris step 5 imposing figures. They're clearly not human. Their armor is advanced, their weapons unlike anything Earth technology could produce. At their center stands a towering warrior, at least 8 feet tall, with reptilian features and armor that seems to be fused with his scaly skin. Ben Tennyson, the leader speaks, his voice deep and resonant. I am Draego, and you're trespassing. Ben attempts to stand tall despite his unstable form. Funny, I was about to say the same to you. Draego laughs, a sound like grinding metal. You're too late, Tennyson. The Omni-Core will soon belong to my employer, and there's nothing your malfunctioning watch can do about it. Omni-Core? Ben questions, looking at the glowing crystal. Gwen's eyes widen with recognition. I've read about this in the Plumber archives. The Omni-Core was a prototype. It predates the Omnitrix by decades. It was the first successful attempt to store and rewrite DNA sequences across species. Very good, Anodite. Draego nods appreciatively. But your history lesson is incomplete. The Omni-Core was abandoned because it was too powerful, too unstable. It doesn't just store DNA. It can fundamentally alter it, creating new species entirely. Azimuth's Omnitrix was the watered-down, safe version. Kevin steps forward, his metal-coated fists raised. And let me guess, your boss wants it for something not so safe? My employer's intentions are none of your concern, Draego snarls. Take them! The bounty hunters attack with coordinated precision. Despite being outnumbered, the trio puts up a fierce fight. Gwen creates mana shields to deflect energy blasts, while Kevin engages 2 of the hunters in close combat. Ben struggles the most. His hybrid form's conflicting powers make his attacks unpredictable. When he tries to generate a fireball, crystal shards shoot out instead. When he attempts to form a crystal shield, it melts from his own heat. During the chaos, Ben manages to get closer to the Omni-Core. The proximity intensifies the Omnitrix's reaction, causing his hybrid form to shift again. This time, he morphs into a bizarre combination of 4 arms and wild mutt, strong but blind, with enhanced senses but limited coordination. This is getting ridiculous! Ben growls through Wild Mutt's muzzle while trying to control 4 arms' multiple limbs. Draego notices Ben's approach to the Omni-Core and breaks away from his fight with Kevin. "Stay away from that, Tennyson. You have no idea what you're dealing with." But it's too late. As Ben stumbles backward from Draego's attack, he collides with the pedestal. The Omni-Core reacts violently to the Omnitrix's proximity, its glow intensifying to a blinding level. The entire facility begins to shake, and warning alarms blare throughout the complex. "What's happening?" Kevin shouts over the noise. Gwen creates a mana bubble around them as debris begins falling from the ceiling. The Omni-Core is destabilizing. If it goes critical, it could release enough energy to rewrite the DNA of everything within a 10-mile radius. Draego's confident demeanor falters for the first time. "This wasn't supposed to happen. The containment field is failing," Gwen interrupts. "Whatever you did to get in here must have damaged it." Ben, still in his unstable hybrid form, looks at the increasingly volatile Omni-Core. The Omnitrix on his chest is reacting to it, pulsing in sync with the crystal's energy fluctuations. In that moment, a realization hits him. The Omnitrix and the Omni-Core. They're connected somehow. Maybe that's why it's been calling to me. Despite the pain of his unstable transformation, Ben steps toward the crystal. "Ben? What are you doing?" Gwen calls out, struggling to maintain her protective bubble as the facility continues to collapse around them. "Something incredibly stupid or incredibly brilliant," Ben replies. "Probably both." Before anyone can stop him, Ben reaches out and touches the Omni-Core directly. The contact creates an immediate reaction. Energy arcs between the crystal and the Omnitrix, enveloping Ben in a cocoon of green light so intense that everyone else has to shield their eyes. Inside the energy field, Ben feels the Omnitrix changing, adapting. The device seems to be absorbing the Omni-Core's energy, redirecting it, stabilizing it. For a brief moment, Ben's consciousness expands. He can sense the DNA of every living thing around him, from his cousin to the bounty hunters to the microorganisms in the air. It's overwhelming, terrifying, and exhilarating all at once. When the light finally fades, Ben stands there in his human form, the Omnitrix on his wrist appearing normal again except for a subtle new pattern on its faceplate. The Omni-Core has diminished to a fraction of its former size, now a dull, inert crystal. Draego stares in disbelief. "What have you done?" Ben looks down at the Omnitrix, feeling a new power humming within it. "I think the Omnitrix just did what it was designed to do. It adapted. It absorbed the Omni-Core's energy to stabilize it." The facility gives one final shudder before beginning a catastrophic collapse. Draego signals to his remaining hunters. "This isn't over, Tennyson. My employer will not be pleased." With remarkable agility, the bounty hunters retreat through the hole they created, disappearing into the night. "We need to get out of here now," Kevin shouts, already heading for the exit. Gwen expands her mana bubble to create a path through the falling debris. The trio barely makes it out before the entire facility implodes, sinking into the mountainside with a final, thunderous crash. From a safe distance, they watch as dust billows from what was once a cutting-edge research facility. The night is suddenly quiet again, save for the distant calls of disturbed wildlife. "So," Kevin breaks the silence, "anyone want to explain what just happened in there?" Ben examines the Omnitrix. It looks almost the same, but something feels different. When he activates it, the holographic display shows his usual roster of aliens, but there's a new symbol in the interface, something that wasn't there before. "I think the Omnitrix just got an upgrade," Ben says, with a mixture of awe and concern. The Omni-Core was unstable because it had too much power with no direction. The Omnitrix gave it purpose, channeled its energy. Gwen approaches, studying the device on her cousin's wrist. If what Draego said is true, and the Omni-Core could rewrite DNA completely, then theoretically, I might be able to create entirely new alien forms. Ben finishes her thought, the implications dawning on him. Not just use the ones already in the database. Kevin whistles. That's actually kind of terrifying. And exactly why someone hired Draego to get it, Gwen adds. Question is, who? And what were they planning to do with that kind of power? Ben closes the Omnitrix's holographic display, his expression serious. I don't know, but I have a feeling we're going to find out. Draego doesn't strike me as the type to give up easily. As they make their way back to Kevin's car, Ben can't help but feel that this is just the beginning of something much bigger. The Omnitrix has always been a responsibility, but now it carries an even greater power and potentially greater danger. You know what this means, right? Kevin says as they drive away from the mountains. Every alien bounty hunter, power-hungry warlord, and mad scientist in the galaxy is going to be after you once word gets out about this. Ben looks out the window at the stars above, wondering how many of those distant worlds will soon send their worst to claim what he now possesses. The Omnitrix gives a soft pulse on his wrist as if acknowledging the challenges ahead. Let them come, Ben says with a determined smile. We've handled worse. But as the car disappears down the mountain road, a shadowy figure watches from a ridge. Draego raises a communication device, his reptilian features illuminated by its glow. The mission was compromised, he reports. Tennyson has merged the Omni-Core with his Omnitrix. A distorted voice responds, "This is an unexpected development. Return to base immediately. Plans must be adjusted." And Tennyson? Draego asks. There's a pause before the voice answers. Monitor him. This may yet work to our advantage. As the communication ends, Draego looks once more at the collapsed facility, then at the distant lights of Kevin's car. His mandibles click in what might be amusement or anticipation. Until next time, Ben Tennyson, he murmurs, before disappearing into the darkness. The adventure, it seems, is indeed far from over. It has only just begun.